One, a two, a 1, 2, 3. What's in the mail today?
Hey, Third World Prepper here with another video. Today's video will be a little different from my normal uploads. About a week ago I was tagged by Sammi Prepper and Bushcraft from Australia to do a video on my top 10 items that I would take for a SHTF situation. Anyways, she's a real down-to-earth person and would have you laughing in almost all of her videos, which is maybe at a count of 800 or more right now. Anyways, so be sure to check out. A link will be in the description. So here's my list of the top 10 items that I would take for a shit hit the fan situation. Okay, so for the first top 10 items I would take in a shit hit the fan scenario would be at least the first 5 C's. I would make sure I have those first. And the first item out of the 5 C's would of course be a cutting tool, which I chose my cheap ass machete. I could use this as a knife, as an axe to baton wood. I could use it while I'm walking, like to clear pathways of bushes or whatever. Also, there's like a million coconut trees where I live. I don't know if you ever tried opening up a dry coconut, a mature coconut with a knife. It's really hard. This I could just chop right through it with this. Also, the younger coconuts, they have a lot of water in it. That's basically what we drink down here. We don't drink from the mature coconut. You grate it and use it in different ways, but mostly the younger green ones is what we drink. And this right here would bust through that. You slice the top off, get the water, and then you could crack it in half, cut it in half, and the inside has a thin layer of flesh, which is also good for you. So that's that. Another thing, because it has the sheath, I can also use this to signal with. Look at this. Bright ass orange color. So I could, that's another use. Anyways, this is basically what I have in my possession right now, and I would choose this to have this over any knife that I have right now. Let me show you something else too. Being that it's so long, it's not the regular size. It's not the size of a regular knife. If I needed another blade, or this was to break in half or whatever, I can make 2 knives out of this because I have the sheath. This is a blade from a little pocket knife that I had, that the handle broke off. And look at this. It's a knife with a handle now. So I'm pretty sure I could fashion something out of it if I had to. So for my second item, which is going to be a container, I chose my billy can, billy pot, whatever you want to call it. And I chose this over a wide mouth stainless steel bottle, obviously because it's a lot bigger, and it would be easy to cook with due to the fact that it has this handle. Well, that's one of the reasons. It has a handle and I don't have to rest it right on the fire. Even if I do, I still have a handle. I could push a twig, a stick or something right through here and pick it up. Whereas with a container with no handle, if you stick that in the fire, remember, you might not have gloves or anything. How are you going to get that out? And it's going to be pretty hard to cook in one of that, because basically it would be the size of like this. Now if you had this, because remember we have a choice, I would choose this any day over that. Look how big that is. I can also sit this out in the rain to collect water. If I have food or meat at night or even in the day, whenever I want, I could just tie a piece of cordage to this, throw it over a tree, and basically sling it up there so critters or whatever won't get in it. What else? I could use it as storage. You know, walk around if I find berries or nuts, whatever, a container to hold that. I think, you know, I would rather this, mostly because of its size, and just the size alone. I would have way more uses than if I had a wide mouth container. So I'm taking my billy pot. Okay, my third item now would be for combustion, and for combustion, I'm taking this. This here is my magnifying glass for solar ignition. I also have some char in here too, a bunch of char. And I know what you're probably thinking. How about when it rains or the sun isn't out or whatever? Okay, first of all, where I live is it's tropical, and we only have maybe 2 months out of the year, which is May and June, that we get, like, you know, a lot of rain. And even then it won't be every day. Even then, when it's raining, I wouldn't really need a fire to boil water. I just put my billy pot out there and collect some rainwater, and at night I also wouldn't need a fire. If I did, it would only be, you know, really to cook. And I try to do that before the place gets dark or whatever, depending on, you know, what I'm doing, if I'm on the move or... But I wouldn't really need a fire at night, you know, for instance, like to stay warm or whatever, because it's always hot here. Even right now, I could go outside with a pair of shorts and a t-shirt and stay out there all night and not get cold. So that's that. Another thing, even if I run out of my char cloth, there's some natural tinder that I could start a fire through solar ignition with this. Even rabbit and goat shit would be able to, you know, help you get a fire started through solar ignition. You know, that's one of the reasons why I chose this too. And I've never seen flint over here or heard of it being in my country. So I know about this and I know what I could do with this. So that's why I'm choosing to take this with me as a first option for fire making. The fourth item I would take would be something for cover. And what I've chosen for my cover is this, my 2-man tent. One of the biggest reasons I've chosen a tent is that within a couple of minutes I could set this up, or I could take it down and go on my way without leaving a trace of where I've been, you know, or anyone knowing that I was at that location. Also, with this, I wouldn't need cordage or wood to set up a shelter. This basically has two rods that fold out, and you run it through the tent, the top of the tent, and that's it. That's it. I could open this up without even setting it up, spread it on the ground. I could sleep on the ground, lay on the ground, whatever. I could also, without setting it up, use it as a tarp with some cordage. This is pretty big. There's a lot of material here. I could even cut this up and make a couple smaller shelters, like tarp-like shelters, you know. What else? Alright, imagine every day, if you're on the move every day and at night you're resting, you're setting up a shelter. Imagine the calories that it's going to take to do that. Wherein in 2 minutes I could set this up and still conserve a little strength, you know what I'm saying? I would rather have this than a tarp. I could use that as a poncho. I could use it to carry stuff as a big bag. Many uses, just for the mere fact there's a lot of material here. And look at this. A tarp would probably roll up to about the same thing. I could roll this smaller if I wanted. It's just how I have it right now, you know. I would rather have this. So this will be for my cover. Okay, now for my fifth item, I chose cordage. But before I get into that, I want to give you guys a quick, or share a quick tip with you. Like I said, there's millions of coconuts here, coconut trees. And there's so much that you can do with that, you know. There's like the ultimate survival food, or, you know, whatever. There's so much things you can do with it. It's food, you can get water from it. You can burn the dry shell, it acts as a mosquito repellent. This here is the inside of a mature coconut, the husk, which can be turned into a cordage, rope, by twisting it. And if you do it right, it's pretty strong. Just a quick tip. Okay, so this would be my cordage. This is a hobo fishing reel. I'm counting this as one item, even though it does have cordage, there's some bank line and some fishing line on it with the hook. Sammy, you said you're taking your pack of needles with you, so I'm guessing you're counting the whole pack. I can't remember, I seen the pack you had showed. I can't remember exactly how much was in it, but I know it's a couple. So if you count that as one item, I'm going to count this as one item. Okay, now for my sixth item, I've chosen a flashlight. And the reason I chose this is because, alright, let's say for instance, at night now, you know, you're resting, because you wouldn't really be moving around at night. But if you had to, if some people invaded your camp, or for whatever reason you had to leave, or you needed to travel at night, you would need a light. You would need some kind of light. And that's gonna bring me to my seventh item, because you're probably saying, what's gonna happen when the battery runs out? Well, inside here is a cheap flashlight, but it works with one AAA battery, and I have a rechargeable AAA battery. Okay, for my seventh item, I've chosen this small little solar panel. This came off of a solar yard light, one of those cheap solar yard lights, and it charges one AAA battery, so this will power my flashlight. Like I said, these are things that I have at the moment. I wish I had a crank flashlight, but I don't, you know. This is what I have, so that would be my seventh item. Alright, now for my eighth item. My eighth item is a shemagh. Well, I'm not gonna waste everybody's time and get into what I could use this for. It's infinite uses for this. Infinite uses. Okay, now for my ninth item, I chose this, a compass. You will need a compass. I know you can make a makeshift compass with a magnetized needle or a fishing hook, but imagine this. Imagine walking around for hours and hours and hours, and then finally you're like, you know what? I think I'm going in the wrong direction, and now there's no water in sight. So even with that magnetized needle and a leaf, what are you gonna do with it? But if you had one of these from the beginning, you would know exactly the direction you're heading in. So for my 10th and final item would be this, a trash bag. And this trash bag I would keep in my pocket at all times. At all times. Due to the fact that if I had to, like again, run and leave my camp for any reason and leave everything behind it, I would have this. From this I could get cordage. It can act as a container, use it for cover. Numerous and multiple uses. Multiple uses. Alright guys, so I really enjoyed doing this challenge, and I would really appreciate your input and thoughts about the items that I have chosen. Also, I would like to tag 3 other people to do this challenge, and the three people are 1. Creative Redundancy, 2. Mike Health and Survival and Prepping, and 3. Texas Lil Star 63. They all have excellent content on their channels, so be sure to check them out. Until we meet again, stay safe and be prepared. Peace out.